Hughie Fury comes up short in his third fight at world level. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Remstar Says So. So let's get into this one, guys. Hughie Fury, very disappointing yesterday with his performance against Alexander Povetkin. Hughie Fury, I think it's time that we just accept Hughie Fury for who he is and what he is. He is a European slash fringe level heavyweight boxer. This is the third time he stepped up to the highest level, facing top quality opposition, and he's come up short on each time. The first time he lost to Joseph Parker in a fight that he swears to Almighty God he won. The second time was about a year ago when he went out to Bulgaria to face Kubrat Pulev for the IBF mandatory, which he lost. And then yesterday to a very jaded, a very faded Alexander Povetkin, which would have really sort of helped to reignite his career. Hughie Fury, what can I say? I think it's time he parts ways with his dad. He needs to do what Tyson did, and maybe it's time, he sacks his dad as his trainer and maybe just keeps him on as a manager, or maybe just gets him out of his life completely. I thought it was a bad move for him going to Matchroom, especially with the level of opposition that he's been fighting recently, to then go and take a huge fight against Alexander Povetkin. I mean, if you think about it, his cousin Tyson is across the road fighting for BT in top ranks Bob Arum, and he's fighting absolute tin can men. So why on God's green earth did Hughie Fury go and take that fight? It's absolutely beyond me. I was actually supposed to make a video not too long ago talking about how good of a promoter Mick Hennessy has been for Hughie Fury and Tyson, and for the little respect that Mick Hennessy hasn't received in terms of where he's taken Hughie Fury. Two top 10 fights, one for a world championship, the other one for a number one contender fight. It's not Mick Hennessy's fault that Hughie Fury hasn't delivered. A lot of people said, now that Hughie Fury is fighting at Matchroom, there's going to be a lot more money behind him and he's going to get the bigger fights that Mick Hennessy couldn't deliver. Well, Mick Hennessy has already delivered two of the three biggest fights he's ever had, and he's come up short. If you was Mick Hennessy, would you want to keep pumping more and more and more money into a guy who just can't deliver ever? Because I know what I would be thinking. I'd be telling him to go and jog on. What can I say? Like Hughie Fury, he actually started the fight pretty well. He started with a very strong jab, double jab, and he was coming in quite quickly, quite aggressively, coming in and out of range. I think the game plan for Hughie Fury yesterday was pretty much to use his height and reach as an advantage, and also use the fact that he was the younger, fresher fighter, and sort of take Povetkin into the later rounds. It's actually quite strange when you look at Hughie Fury's CV and resume, because he has fought some good quality opposition, albeit every time he fought somebody of note, he lost. But he's still got these guys under his belt. And let's not forget, guys, Hughie Fury is only 24 years old. That is what a lot of people seem to forget. He's only about 2 or 3 years older than Daniel Dubois, who is being sort of nicely, slowly taken around the houses and built up correctly. I have no idea why Hughie Fury was ever rushed into certain fights. And I think after he lost to Joseph Parker, they should have just built him up correctly, done the English route, the Southern route, this, the that. I mean, he did win the British title, I think, a couple of fights back. And then he sort of, what did he do? He vacated it, didn't he? Yeah, he beat Sam, after he lost to Joseph Parker, he beat Sam Sexton for the British title. That was in May 18. Then he went back up to world level and lost to Kubrat Pulev. Then he dropped back down and he beat Chris Narad and, Samuel Peter. And that was on one of those Muhammad Ali undercard fights. And then after Samuel Peter, he steps back up. And I think what we need to look at is just look at what he's done, who he's beaten, and we can start thinking to ourselves, Hughie Fury's at this level. We need to build him up slowly and surely. The fact is, even though he's got 3 losses on his record at only 24 years old, and if he stays under that Matchroom banner, I think Eddie Hearn can actually work at building him up. There's no more fights for Hughie Fury at the top level. I think he really needs to go and fight for, I don't know, a British title. Maybe go and fight Ajit Kabial for the European title. Is Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren going to do business? Would Frank Warren let him test his strength against the likes of a Daniel Dubois? I mean, we already know that he's related to Nathan Gorman, so that's not going to happen. Could we get a Joe Joyce fight? Or maybe he's going to stick him in with the likes of a Derek Chisora. I I mean, I wouldn't be looking at making him fight Joseph Parker, but if Joseph Parker beats Derek Chisora, maybe what we can do is look at having Hughie Fury versus Derek Chisora. But I think I'd fancy Del Boy for that fight as well. I just think that Hughie Fury, I think he's very overrated when I think about him. I think the name Fury has taken him a lot further in life and in his career than he probably should have gone. When I actually think about it, I'll be honest with you guys, Hughie Fury he stinks. He sucks. If he never had the name Fury, nobody would even care about him. Let's say, for example, if his name was like Hughie Smith, nobody would even give a shit. It's just the fact that, his cousin is Tyson, former unified champion who went to Dusseldorf and toppled Vladimir Klitschko and then had a great fight with Deontay Wilder and has fought absolute bums in between those two mega fights. That's the only reason why we give a shit about Hughie Fury, but the guy sucks. What do I actually think Eddie Hearn can do with him? Not much. When I really think about it, Eddie Hearn's got sort of fringe fighters, the likes of Michael Hunters, Derek Chisora's. I mean, would you stick Hughie Fury in with Dillian White? No. Would you stick him in? Maybe you'd put him in with a Jarrell Big Baby Miller. But I think that Big Baby Miller would iron him out, especially if he's still got those steroids running through his veins. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, what can you actually do with Hughie Fury? And the answer is not much. If the rumors are true and Eddie Hearn's trying to stack a KSI undercard, maybe we're going to see Hughie Fury fighting some random guy we've never heard of on the undercard and sort of trying to build himself back up again. But my thing is, I can't see Hughie Fury winning a title anytime soon. I mean, I know Deontay Wilder will probably be out the game in a couple of years. Tyson Fury's 31. I think AJ's either 30 or on his way to becoming 30. But when you think about the guys coming up underneath, could I see Hughie Fury beating Dubois? No. Could I see Hughie Fury beating Joyce? Then again, Joyce is about the same age as Tyson Fury, if not older. Could I see Hughie Fury beating Ife Ajagba? Probably not. Do I think he could beat Edric Caviar? I'd fancy Caviar in that. I just think that Hughie Fury just needs to know his role and shut his mouth. He is a. hmm, What's a nice way of saying this? He's a C grade fighter. I mean, if I think about the A grade fighters in the division, your Wilders, your Furies, once upon a time AJ. I mean, you're gonna have to put Andy Ruiz there now because he's the unified heavyweight champion. B grade fighters, your Povetkins, your Pulevs, your Dillian Whites, your Lewis Ortizes, your C grade fighters, you're looking at the likes of. Can I call Joe Joyce a C grade fighter? Yeah, I would. You know, do I think that Hughie Fury can mix it with that? C grade fighter, maybe a Derek Chisora, possibly. Maybe an Adam Kawanaski. Looking at that heavyweight landscape, I just don't see Hughie Fury beating anybody of relevance anytime soon. He's 24 years old. Just let him build his way back up. Start from the beginning. Let him fight some tin cans and some knockovers. Go and win the English title again. Win the British title. Go for the Southern. Win the Commonwealth. Go for the European. And take your time. At 24 years old, those 3 losses don't mean anything. But he's got to ditch his dad. I mean, you saw some decent feints in that, but I think another issue with Hughie Fury yesterday was that he wasn't letting the right hand go. I think the tactics were spot on for the first half of the fight because if you notice in the first half of that fight, you never saw Hughie Fury throw that right hand. All he was doing was just keeping himself at bay with the jab and letting Alexander Povetkin sort of tire himself down. But when it came from round 6 to 12, or should I say 7 to 12, he wasn't really throwing the right hand. He didn't know what to do. It was Povetkin who was the aggressor, coming with those big, heavy left hooks, throwing that overhead right hand. It was Povetkin who was doing everything. And to be fair, I actually thought it was another close one. And to be fair, if the judges would have scored it for Hughie Fury, I would have been like, okay, cool, move on. It wasn't a inspiring performance from either fighter, but let's be honest, Alexander Povetkin's gonna be 40 either today or the next couple of days. Hughie Fury's 24. Like there's a big age gap, and you just wouldn't imagine that looking at these two fighters, but I think he's spent. I think he's done. I think the best thing for Hughie Fury right now is he needs to drain down to cruiserweight and then go and have a go there. He will not be a world champ. I don't think even if all four belts become fragmented again, I still don't think he'll be a world champion. I think the best thing for Hughie Fury is to drain down to 200 pounds and go and fight at the cruiserweight division. But I think there's still a few guys down there that would give him a run for his money. If he can make cruiserweight, that would be my suggestion. If I was Eddie Hearn, I'd be like, look, just spend the next year just losing weight. He only weighed in about what, 224? He's 24 years old. I think he could get down there. Let me know your thoughts, guys. What did you think about the Hughie Fury Povetkin fight? Do you think that I'm being harsh, or do you agree with me? Is 3 times? Is it 3 times and you're out? I don't know how many fights Eddie Hearn has signed Hughie Fury up for, but he must be kicking himself because he's like, shit, I've got to get this guy out a few more times on his contract. Knowing Eddie Hearn is probably a 3 fight deal, but if it's any longer than that, Hearn's going to be pissed. But yeah, it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like, hit subscribe, press that bell icon. That's the end of the show because Remstar says so.